A black guy like you serving my customers? That's disgusting. You people belong in the back with the trash. Rick Palmer sat at table 12, the corner booth where he interviewed applicants. General manager. Harvest and Home's most profitable location. $150 million revenue. Alex Walker stood across from him. Mid-40s, dark skin, worn jacket, hands scarred from 15 years of kitchen work. Palmer grabbed the application, tore it in half. The pieces fluttered onto the table. Dishwasher, $7.25 an hour. Alex didn't move. The posting says line cook, $12.85. Palmer laughed. That's for professionals, not people who look like you. I'll take it. Smart. 4:30 tomorrow. Palmer smirked. Don't be late. Your kind usually is. Alex walked out, past the Edison bulbs, through the front door, got in his car, smiled. Rick Palmer just destroyed his own life. He had no idea what was coming. 72 hours left. 4 days earlier, Andrew had sat in his corner office as dawn broke over Atlanta. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the skyline he'd conquered. From one food truck in 2008 to this. $150 million in annual revenue, 32 locations across the Southeast, and a reputation for doing things right. The certified letter sat on his mahogany desk like a coiled snake. Harper and Associates, Employment Law. Andrew's coffee had gone cold an hour ago. Behind him, the credenza held his origin story in frames. The original food truck with hand-painted letters, his Southeast Business Leader of the Year plaque from 2022, and the employee handbook he'd personally written 17 years ago. He'd memorized the opening line. Harvest and Home is more than a business. It's a family built on dignity, opportunity, and trust. The letter said his family was rotten. 8 employees from the Atlanta flagship, his crown jewel, his proving ground, were threatening a class-action lawsuit. The claims made his hands shake. Systematic wage theft, discrimination, hostile work environment, impossible. Rick Palmer ran that location, had been with Andrew since day one. Palmer knew the culture. Palmer was the culture. Andrew's phone buzzed. His CFO. Peachtree location posted 23% margins again. Palmer's crushing it. Whatever he's doing, we should bottle it. 23%. 6 points higher than the company average. Palmer had earned a $50,000 performance bonus last year for those numbers. Andrew dialed Palmer's cell. 3 rings. Andrew. Morning, boss. What can I do for you? Palmer's voice was caffeinated cheerfulness, the sound of a man with nothing to hide. Rick, I need to ask you something directly. Andrew kept his voice level. I received a letter from an employment attorney. Multiple workers are alleging serious violations. A pause. Too brief to be panic, too long to be confusion. Oh, that! Palmer's tone shifted to exasperation. Yeah, we've had some disgruntled employees. You know how it is. Discipline a few people for attendance issues, suddenly you're the bad guy. I've got it handled, sir. HR knows. All documented. What kind of attendance issues? The usual. Late arrivals, extended breaks, calling out last minute. Look, some people just aren't cut out for this industry. High standards, you know. But the team we've kept, they're solid. That's why our numbers are so strong. Andrew stared at the employee handbook. Dignity, opportunity, trust. Send me your documentation, everything related to these employees. Absolutely. I'll have it to you by EOD. Palmer cleared his throat. Andrew, if I may, don't let a few bad apples spoil what we've built. This location is a model. Come visit sometime. See for yourself. The call ended. Andrew sat in silence. That night he couldn't sleep. His wife Eleanor found him at 2 a.m., staring at the food truck photo. What's wrong? She sat beside him, her hand on his shoulder. What if I built something beautiful on a broken foundation? The words came out raw. What if the numbers that made me proud were hiding something I should have seen? Eleanor, who'd spent 20 years as a teacher before running her educational nonprofit, understood institutional blindness. You can't fix what you can't see, so go see it. I could send HR, do a formal investigation. You could? She squeezed his shoulder. Or you could do what you always do when something matters. See it yourself, not as the boss, as someone who'd actually know. The idea crystallized slowly, then all at once. Palmer had invited him to visit. But what if he didn't visit as Andrew Anderson, CEO? What if he went as someone else? Someone Palmer would never suspect, never perform for, never hide from. By dawn, Andrew had made the call to the attorney. "Give me 1 week before filing anything. I need to see this myself." "Mr. Anderson, if you're caught conducting unauthorized surveillance—" "I'm not surveilling. I'm applying for a job at my own company." He hung up and opened his laptop. Started typing a resume for a man who didn't exist. Alex Walker, 15 years kitchen experience, references available, ready to start immediately. Andrew looked at his reflection in the darkened window. The man staring back had built an empire, but empires could be built on sand. Time to find out what his was built on. Sarah Williams woke at 3:45 a.m. to an alarm she'd learned to hate. Her daughter Lily, 8 years old, stirred in the bed they shared in their 2-bedroom apartment. Sarah's son Jacob slept in the other room with Grandma Rose, who'd moved in after Sarah's ex-husband vanished 3 years ago. No goodbye, no child support, no forwarding address. The Honda Civic with 180,000 miles sputtered to life in the pre-dawn cold. 40 minutes to harvest and home. 40 minutes back. Every day. The transmission was slipping. Sarah had $127.43 in her checking account, and payday was 9 days away. At 4:42 a.m., she pushed through the back door of Harvest and Home's Atlanta flagship. The kitchen smelled like yesterday's roasted chicken and industrial bleach. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The industrial mixer clanged as someone started prep. Sarah reached for the time clock, a digital screen mounted by the back door that read, "Clock in." "Sarah, hold on." Rick Palmer appeared from his office, coffee in hand. "We're overstaffed for the morning rush. Clock in at 7:30. Sarah's jaw tightened. "That's 3 hours. You can head home, come back, or wait in your car, up to you." Palmer smiled. The smile of a man who knew she'd stay. The drive home was 40 minutes each way, and gas cost money she didn't have. "I'll wait. That's my reliable girl." Palmer patted her shoulder. She flinched. "Clock in at 7:30 sharp." Sarah sat in her car as the sun rose, pulled out her phone, checked her bank balance again. $127.43. Rent was due in 11 days, $850. Even with this week's paycheck, if she worked 50 hours, she'd be $340 short. She opened the weather-beaten composition notebook she kept hidden under her seat, flipped to today's page, wrote in careful handwriting, Day 236, forced split shift, 3 hours unpaid, 4:45 to 7:30. Will return at 7:30. Palmer called me reliable. Total stolen this week, $118. She turned back to the front page, ran her finger down the column of numbers she'd been tracking for 8 months. Total documented, $14,200. The notebook's cover had a label in Sarah's handwriting, "For when I'm ready." Not yet. She wasn't ready yet. Too many of her co-workers were undocumented. A lawsuit would expose them, destroy their lives, and lawsuits took years. Sarah couldn't wait years. Her daughter needed asthma medication, her son needed shoes, her car needed a transmission. But she could wait a little longer. Document a little more. Build an ironclad case. Sarah opened her phone's camera, zoomed in on the back door, snapped a photo of the handwritten sign Palmer had posted next to the time clock. "See manager before clocking in for shifts under 6 hours. Evidence. At 7:30 a.m., Sarah clocked in. Palmer nodded approvingly. "Breakfast rush. Let's make it happen." Sarah worked the prep station. 60 pounds of vegetables before the first customer arrived. Her hands moved automatically. Dice, slice, chop. 4 years of this. 4 years of arriving early and being sent away. 4 years of watching Palmer's niece Katie waltz in with no experience and land a server job within a week. 4 years of asking for server training and being told, "When we have an opening." Servers made 2 to 3 times what kitchen staff made in tips. Sarah had watched Katie pull in $340 last Saturday night, more than Sarah made all week. At 10 a.m., Palmer appeared again. "Slow morning, clock out. Come back at 2 for lunch prep." Another 4-hour unpaid gap. Sarah clocked out without a word, went back to her car. This time, she didn't try to sleep. She pulled out her phone, opened a bookmarked video, Know Your Rights, Wage Theft in the Workplace. She'd watched it 17 times, knew every word. But today, for the first time, she'd let herself imagine, What if someone actually listened? What if someone with power actually cared? She closed her eyes, pushed the thought away, dangerous to hope. At 2 p.m., Sarah clocked back in, worked until 11:45 p.m., 11 hours on her feet. She'd be paid for 7. Palmer handed her a cash envelope as she left. $90, 7 hours at $12.85 an hour, rounded up. Good work today, Sarah. You're a trooper. Sarah took the envelope, said nothing. As she walked to her car, she pulled out her phone, photographed her time card on the digital screen, 7.5 hours. Then photographed the handwritten card visible through Palmer's office window, 11 hours, evidence, day 236, not much longer now. Andrew sat in the Goodwill parking lot, staring at the clothes in his passenger seat. Carhartt jacket, $12, jeans with a paint stain, $8, steel-toe boots, $15, a 20-year-old Timex watch to replace the Rolex. His phone rang. Eleanor. "You don't have to do this," she said without preamble. "Send investigators. Do it the right way." "What's the right way?" Andrew rubbed his face. He hadn't shaved in 3 days, letting stubble change his appearance. "HR conducts interviews. Palmer knows they're coming. Everyone performs. I get a sanitized report that tells me nothing. And if you're recognized, I won't be." Andrew looked at himself in the rearview mirror. The CEO who wore custom suits and gave keynote speeches felt very far away. "Palmer's seen me twice, both times from across a conference room, and I've changed. It's not your appearance I'm worried about. It's what you'll find." Andrew was quiet. Eleanor's voice softened. "Baby, you built this company on a promise. If that promise was broken, it's not just Palmer's fault. You created the systems that allowed it." "I know." The words hurt. "That's why I have to see it. Not a report. Not secondhand. I need to stand where they stand, work beside them, feel what they feel." "And then what?" "Then I fix it. All of it." Eleanor was quiet for a long moment. "Come home safe. I love you. I love you too." Andrew hung up, changed clothes in the Goodwill bathroom, printed his fake resume at a FedEx office. Alex Walker. 15 years kitchen experience, references available. He practiced in his car, softened his speech patterns, removed the business jargon that came automatically after 17 years as CEO, made himself smaller, less polished, unremarkable. At 2 p.m., he walked through the front door of Harvest and Home for the first time as someone else. The dining room was elegant. Reclaimed wood tables, Edison bulbs, local art on exposed brick walls. The menu he'd crafted with a James Beard-nominated chef, farm to table before it was trendy, food with integrity. Palmer stood at the hostess stand reviewing reservation sheets. Andrew's heart hammered. This was it. The moment Palmer might look up and recognize the man who signed his paychecks. "Help you?" Palmer glanced up, already dismissive. "I'm here about the kitchen position. I'm Alex Walker." Andrew handed over the resume. "Saw you're hiring." Palmer barely looked at the paper. His eyes did a quick scan. Clothes, posture, age, race. Experience? 15 years, line cook, prep, dishwasher, done it all. References? Available, I can start immediately. Palmer set the resume down. His assessment was instant, coded in pauses and careful word choices. "We'll need those references. And you're okay with early hours? Some of our guys, they're not." A pause. "Reliable." The word hung in the air. "Some of our guys." Andrew caught the meaning, nodded carefully. "I'm reliable. Trial shift tomorrow. 4:30 a.m. We'll see if you can keep up." Palmer's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Fair warning, we run a tight ship. People who can't cut it, they don't last. Lots of turnover. I can handle it." Palmer extended his hand. Andrew shook it, feeling the bizarre vertigo of shaking hands with a man who worked for him but didn't know it. "See you tomorrow, Alex." Andrew walked back to his car, a 10-year-old Camry he'd borrowed from his nephew, nothing that would suggest wealth. Sat behind the wheel, hands shaking. He'd gotten in. Tomorrow he'd see the truth. His phone buzzed. Palmer had already entered his trial shift into the system. Alex Walker, 4:30 a.m. kitchen prep. Andrew started the engine. In 18 hours, he'd discover what his most profitable location was really built on. He didn't sleep that night. Andrew arrived at 4:15 a.m., 15 minutes early. The parking lot held 3 cars, one of them a battered Honda Civic he'd seen before, though he didn't know whose. The back door was unlocked. He pushed through into darkness cut by fluorescent lights. The kitchen smelled like sanitizer and grease trap. Industrial equipment loomed in shadows. A woman stood at the prep station, already working. She didn't look up when Andrew entered. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, dicing onions, mechanically precise. "Morning," Andrew said quietly. She glanced at him, brief assessment, then back to her work. "You're the new guy, Alex." "That's right." "Sarah." No smile, no handshake, just her name, then silence. Andrew moved toward the time clock, reached to tap his card. "Don't." Sarah's voice was flat. "Wait for Palmer." "Why?" Sarah said nothing. Her knife work continued, steady, fast, the rhythm of someone who'd done this 10,000 times. Footsteps. Palmer emerged from his office, coffee in hand. "Alex, ready to work?" "Yes, sir." "Good." Palmer glanced at the clock. 4:28 a.m. "Let me show you the prep station first. You'll clock in when we officially open at 5:30. Andrew's chest tightened. "I'm here now." "Right, but we need to review procedures first. Training time." Palmer's smile was easy, practiced. "Sarah can show you the ropes. Clock in at 5:30 sharp." Palmer walked away. Andrew looked at Sarah. She was already looking at him, just for a second. Her eyes said everything. "See it now? This is how it starts." Andrew didn't clock in. Started working at 4:30 a.m., unpaid. By 6 a.m., Andrew understood why his back had hurt for weeks after leaving kitchen work behind. The physical toll came back instantly, standing on concrete, repetitive motion, speed required to keep pace. His hands, soft from years behind a desk, cramped around the knife handle. Sarah worked beside him in silence. She hadn't spoken since don't. Breakfast service started. Palmer directed traffic. 3 other workers arrived, clocked in at 5:30 a.m. like Andrew. They got paid for those first hours. Andrew had worked for free. During a brief lull at 7 a.m., Sarah passed Andrew burn cream. "You're bleeding," she said, not unkindly, just factual. Andrew looked down. His thumb had blistered, split open. He hadn't noticed. "Thanks." Sarah turned back to her station. But something had shifted, a micro increment of acknowledgement. New guy who didn't quit in the first hour earned a microscopic amount of respect. At 9:30 a.m., Palmer appeared. "Alex, clock out. Come back at 2 for lunch prep." Andrew's stomach dropped. "Clock out?" "Slow morning, overstaffed. You can go home, get some rest. Back at 2. Palmer was already walking away. Andrew clocked out. 5 hours worked. 1 paid. He walked to his borrowed Camry, sat behind the wheel. The parking lot was nearly empty now, just his car and that battered Honda Civic, Sarah's car. Andrew watched through his windshield as Sarah emerged from the back door, climbed into the Honda. She didn't drive away, just sat there. After 10 minutes, she reclined her seat, trying to sleep. She couldn't go home either. Andrew felt something crack open in his chest. This wasn't about policies and procedures. This was a trap. You couldn't afford to leave. The commute ate gas money, time, energy, so you sat in your car, unpaid, waiting to be allowed back in. Palmer had turned waiting into a weapon. At 2 p.m., Andrew clocked back in. Sarah was already there. She'd never left the parking lot. "Lunch rush, let's move." Palmer clapped his hands. Andrew worked the grill. Sarah ran pantry. The kitchen became a choreographed storm. Orders shouted, plates flying, heat and steam, and the constant pressure to be faster, faster, don't fall behind. Andrew's phone buzzed in his pocket during a rare pause. A text from his CFO. "Board meeting tomorrow. Need your Q3 presentation. Another world, another life." Andrew deleted the text. At 4 p.m., a young black man arrived, maybe 19, lean and quick-moving. "Thomas!" Palmer's voice shifted, became sharp. "You're on bathrooms today, both floors. They were disgusting last night." Thomas's face fell. "But it's dinner rush. Bathrooms. Now. Unless you'd prefer to clock out early." Thomas disappeared toward the restrooms. Andrew watched this, confused, until he understood. Bathrooms during dinner rush meant Thomas missed the peak tip earning hours. Servers shared tips with bussers who worked the floor. No floor time, no tips. And Thomas was the only black busser. The white bussers stayed on the floor. Andrew's jaw clenched. At 6 p.m., a young white woman breezed in, late, earbuds in, completely unbothered. "Katie!" Palmer's voice transformed into warmth. "Sweetheart, you made it. Rough traffic." "Yeah, Uncle Rick, sorry." Katie, Palmer's niece, Andrew realized, tied her apron without urgency. "No worries, take tables 12 through 18. Nice section tonight." Palmer winked. Andrew glanced at the seating chart on the wall. Tables 12 through 18 were the window seats, high-check tables, big tips. Katie had been working here 6 weeks according to the schedule, already serving the best section. Sarah had been here 4 years, never promoted beyond prep cook. Andrew's hands shook as he plated salmon. Dinner rush peaked at 7:30 p.m. The kitchen became a war zone, orders backing up, Palmer screaming at everyone to move faster, Andrew's vision narrowing to just his station, his hands, the plates. He burned a sauce. Palmer appeared instantly. "Is this your best?" Palmer held the pan up, sauce scorched at the bottom. "Because this is garbage. I'm not paying you to waste food. You want to keep this job?" Andrew's instinct was to respond as CEO, to put Palmer in his place, to remind him who signed his checks. But Alex Walker wouldn't do that. Alex Walker needed this job. "No, sir, won't happen again." "It better not." Palmer threw the pan into the sink, walked away. Sarah materialized beside Andrew. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Breathe. Focus on your station. Don't give him a reason." "A reason for what?" "To make you quit." Sarah's eyes held something Andrew couldn't quite read. Exhaustion, yes, but also strategy. "That's what he wants. Break you down, make you walk away. Then he doesn't have to fire you." "Why would he want me to quit after 1 day?" Sarah looked at him for a long moment. "You ask questions. You notice things. He can see it." She turned back to her station. "Stop noticing, just work." At 9:00 p.m., Palmer entered his office. Through the window, Andrew saw him open a filing cabinet, gunmetal gray combination lock. Palmer pulled out a manila folder, spread papers on his desk. Handwritten time cards. Andrew's breath caught. Palmer was maintaining 2 sets of records. The digital time clock by the back door showed 1 set of hours. Whatever was in that folder showed something else. Evidence. At 11:45 p.m., the shift finally ended. Andrew had worked 14 hours, would be paid for 7. Palmer handed him a cash envelope. $90, 7 hours at $12.85 an hour, rounded up. Not bad for your first day, Alex. That smile again. Think you can handle this? Yes, sir. Good. Same time tomorrow, 4:30. Andrew walked toward his car. His entire body screamed. His feet throbbed. His back felt like someone had taken a hammer to his spine. His hands were blistered, burned, cut in 3 places. This was what he asked people to endure. This was what tight margins and efficiency actually meant. Sarah emerged from the back door 30 seconds later. Andrew watched her walk to her Honda, shoulders curved with exhaustion. She sat in the driver's seat but didn't start the engine immediately. Just sat there, head bowed. Andrew wanted to approach her, to reveal who he was, to promise her that change was coming, but not yet. He didn't have enough evidence, and breaking cover now would let Palmer destroy everything. Andrew drove 3 blocks, then pulled over, opened his phone, texted Eleanor. "It's worse than the letter said, much worse." Her reply came instantly. "Come home, please, can't, not yet, 3 more days." Andrew stared at the Harvest and Home logo on his borrowed uniform, his logo, his brand, his name on the building, built on stolen time. Day 3. Andrew arrived at 4:30 a.m., body already protesting. Blisters had blisters. His lower back had seized up the night before. Eleanor had found him at 3 a.m., taking ibuprofen in the dark. "This is killing you," she'd whispered. "Good," Andrew had said. "I need to know what it costs." Sarah was already working when Andrew entered. She nodded, their new ritual. 2 soldiers in the same war. At 3 p.m., Palmer made an announcement. "I've got a district manager meeting. Be back around 6. Alex, Sarah, hold down the fort." Palmer left. His car pulled out of the lot. Andrew's heart raced. 3 hours. Palmer's office would be empty for 3 hours. He waited 45 minutes, made sure Palmer wouldn't return for something forgotten. Then he walked to the office. The door was unlocked. Palmer's arrogance, his certainty that no one would dare. Andrew stood at the threshold. This was crossing a line. Yes, he owned the company. Yes, he had legal right to access any records. But he was undercover. He was about to surveil his own operation using a false identity. People's lives are being stolen, he thought. Legal ethics can sort themselves out later. He entered. The filing cabinet stood against the back wall, gunmetal gray, combination lock, label reading payroll authorized personnel only. Andrew searched the desk, found a post-it note under the keyboard tray, 0415, April 15th, Palmer's hire date. The lock opened. Inside, 3 manila folders. House Cards 2023, House Cards 2024, House Cards 2025, Jan-May. Andrew's hands shook as he opened the 2025 folder. Handwritten time cards, 15 workers. Each card showed hours worked in Palmer's handwriting with notes in the margins. Slow day, sent home early, overstaffed, split shift, bathroom duty. Andrew pulled out his phone, cross-referenced the handwritten cards with the digital records. The discrepancy was systematic. Asterisk, Sarah Williams, digital, 32 hours. Handwritten, 47 hours. Theft, 15 hours. Asterisk, Thomas Johnson, digital, 28 hours. Handwritten, 44 hours. Theft, 16 hours. Asterisk, Maria Rodriguez, digital, 30 hours. Handwritten, 51 hours. Theft, 21 hours. Every worker, every week. An average of 15 to 20 hours stolen per person. Andrew's chest tightened. 52 weeks. 15 workers. 15 hours per week per worker, $3,000 per month in stolen wages, $36,000 per year. But wait, there was more. Andrew found a printed spreadsheet. Palmer's personal tracking, labor cost savings 2024 total hours not paid, $14,280 value, $52,380 margin improvement, 6.8% performance bonus earned, $50,000. Palmer had tracked his theft like a business metric, and corporate, Andrew's own executive team, had rewarded him for it. Andrew photographed everything, 23 photos, evidence. Then he found the email. Printed exchange dated October 2022, Palmer to someone named Davis. Andrew's memory flashed. Davis had been district manager until retiring in 2023. Palmer, how do you keep labor costs so low? My margins are killing me. Davis, split shifts, house cards, strategic scheduling. Corporate doesn't audit if your numbers look good. Been doing it for years. Just don't document anything digital. Keep it on paper. Keep it in your office. Keep your mouth shut. Palmer, genius. Thanks for the mentorship. Davis, that's what I'm here for. Oh, and CCing Morrison, Portland GM. He'll want to know these techniques too. Andrew felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. This wasn't Palmer going rogue. Palmer had been taught how to steal by a company veteran who'd shared the techniques with other general managers. This was systemic. Andrew photographed the email. His hands were shaking so badly he had to retake the shot 3 times. He was about to close the cabinet when he heard the back door open. Footsteps, coming toward the kitchen. Andrew's pulse spiked. He shoved the folders back, closed the cabinet, spun the lock, stepped out of the office. Sarah stood in the doorway between kitchen and office. Her eyes went wide. She saw the office, saw Andrew, saw his phone still in his hand. For 3 seconds, neither moved. Then Sarah stepped into the kitchen, closed the door behind her. Her face was pale. "Who are you?" Her voice shook. "That's a $300 phone. Your hands aren't kitchen hands. And you asked questions yesterday no new cook asks." Andrew's cover was blown by the person he was trying to save. Sarah's fear was palpable, but she stood her ground. "I don't know if you're corporate or media or a lawyer, but I need to know. Are you here to help us or bury us?" Andrew made a decision, the only decision he could make. "My name isn't Alex Walker." He pulled out his wallet, showed her his driver's license. "I'm Andrew Anderson. I own this company and I need your help." Sarah stared at the license, at the name, at Andrew's face. The color drained from her cheeks. "You..." She couldn't finish the sentence. "I went undercover because I received a letter from an attorney. 8 workers threatening lawsuit. I needed to see the truth myself." Andrew's words came fast. "What I found, it's worse than the letter said. Palmer's been systematically stealing from everyone, and he learned it from my former district manager. It might be happening at other locations." Sarah backed away. Her expression shifted from shock to something harder. Anger. "You're the CEO." Her voice was flat, dangerous. "You built this place. I thought I did, but Palmer built something else inside it. Palmer works for you." Sarah's hands clenched. "You hired him. You promoted him. You gave him a $50,000 bonus last year." She laughed. No humor, just bitterness. Did you know? That bonus? It was for stealing from us. I saw the spreadsheet. I didn't know. The words sounded hollow even to Andrew. But that's not an excuse. I created the incentive structures that rewarded him. I built systems that let him hide. I should have known. Yeah, you should have. Sarah's eyes were wet, but she wasn't crying. Tears of rage. You want me to believe the CEO of this company just happened to care now? After 4 years of me getting robbed every week? I got a letter from an attorney 4 days ago. That's when I learned you got a letter. Sarah's laugh was sharp. I've been documenting for 8 months. Photos, recordings, notes. Every theft, every lie, every time Palmer called me reliable while he stole from my kid's future. She pulled her phone from her pocket. I was going to take this to the media next month because lawsuits take years and my coworkers who are undocumented can't risk exposure. Andrew's breath caught. She'd been planning a media exposure. She'd been building a case while he was building profit margins. Show me, he said quietly. Sarah hesitated, then opened her phone, showed him photos, dozens of them, time cards, Palmer's handwritten notes, screenshots of her bank account, a composition notebook with meticulous records. Day 1, split shift, 4 HRS unpaid, $51 stolen. Day 12, sent home early, still counted as full shift, $38 stolen. Day 89, Palmer's niece hired, immediately promoted to server. I asked for training again. Denied. 236 days, $14,200 stolen from Sarah alone. Why didn't you go to corporate? Andrew asked. Sarah's look could have melted steel. I called your HR hotline 6 times, left messages, no one called back. I sent 2 emails, never got a response. She crossed her arms. Your systems don't work for people like me. They work for people like Palmer. Andrew felt the truth of it. The hotline he'd proudly announced. The open-door policy in his employee handbook. All theater if no one actually answered the door. You're right, he said. Everything you just said, you're right. I failed you. I failed everyone here. He met her eyes. But I'm here now and I can fix this if you'll help me. Why should I? Because firing Palmer isn't enough. The system that enabled him, I need to dismantle it. But I can't do that without understanding what you've lived through, what you know, what you've seen that I'm too blind to notice. Sarah studied him. What happens when you fire Palmer? Corporate investigates, finds nothing else wrong, everyone moves on. I've seen that movie. Rich guy makes a speech, fires the bad apple, declares mission accomplished. Meanwhile, nothing actually changes. No. Andrew's voice was firm. That's not what's happening. Palmer gets fired. Davis, the district manager who taught him, gets fired and potentially faces criminal charges. Every location gets audited. Worker committee with real power gets formed. And you? He paused. I'm offering you Palmer's job, general manager. Sarah went very still. What? You know this place better than anyone. You know what workers need. You have the courage to document injustice even when it costs you. That's leadership. I'm a prep cook. You're a prep cook because Palmer blocked you, but you're a leader. You always were. I just couldn't see it. Andrew pulled out his phone. Tomorrow morning, I'm calling an all-staff meeting. I'm confronting Palmer publicly, and I want you beside me, as an equal, not as my employee, as a partner in fixing this. Sarah's expression wavered. She wanted to believe him. Andrew could see it, but she'd been betrayed too many times. What power do I actually have? She asked. Can I fire someone? Can I change policies? Or is this just a title with no teeth? Full authority. And if I try to overrule you, you go to the worker advisory board we're creating. They'll have veto power. Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then, he's going to be back in 40 minutes. I know. And you want to confront him. I want us to confront him. Sarah looked at her phone. At the documentation she'd spent 8 months building. At the photos of her children she kept as her lock screen. Finally, she nodded. Okay, but I'm recording this, every word. If you go back on your promises, the world will know. Good. Andrew met her eyes. Hold me accountable. That's your job now. Palmer returned at 5:50 p.m. He walked through the back door, district manager paperwork under his arm, whistling. He pushed open his office door. Andrew and Sarah stood there waiting. Palmer stopped. His smile faltered. Alex? Sarah, what are you? We need to talk about the house cards, Rick. Andrew's voice was level. Palmer's face shifted through expressions like shuffling cards. Confusion, Realization, panic, then anger. "Get out of my office, both of you. You're fired." Andrew pulled out his phone, showed Palmer the photos. "I have pictures of every document in that cabinet, 2 sets of time cards, your spreadsheet tracking labor cost savings, the email where Davis taught you how to steal." Palmer went white. His eyes darted between Andrew and Sarah, trying to understand. "Who the hell are you?" Andrew removed his Carhartt jacket, stood to his full height, let Palmer see him clearly for the first time. "Andrew Anderson, your boss, the man who built this company, and the man who's about to tear down everything you corrupted." The blood drained from Palmer's face. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Sarah stepped forward. Her voice was steady, controlled, harder than Andrew had heard before. "And I'm the worker you've been robbing for 4 years, the woman you called reliable every time you stole from my kids. I have 236 days of documentation, photos, recordings, notes, every theft, every lie, every time you sent me home without pay while you gave your niece the best tables in the restaurant." Palmer's recovery was fast. Years of middle management had taught him how to spin. "Andrew, listen, I can explain. These workers, they're lazy, they need firm management. Someone has to keep costs under control." "Stop!" Andrew's voice cut like a blade. "I worked beside them for 3 days. Sarah worked harder in 1 shift than you've worked all month. Thomas did bathroom duty during peak tip hours because you wanted to punish him. Maria works split shifts that steal 4 hours a day from her life. I made this store the most profitable in the company." Palmer's voice rose, defensive. "I did what you wanted. High margins, low costs. You rewarded me for it." The accusation hung in the air. Andrew felt its weight. "You're right," he said quietly. "I did. I gave you a $50,000 bonus for stealing from my workers because I measured success in profit margins instead of people. I built an incentive structure that rewarded theft, and that's on me." He met Palmer's eyes. "But it ends now." Palmer switched tactics. "You can't just fire me. I've been with you since day one. I know too much about how this company really runs." "Is that a threat?" Andrew's voice was cold. Palmer realized his mistake, backpedaled. "No, look, we can work this out. I'll pay back the money, change the systems, just don't—" "You stole $14,000 from Sarah alone." Andrew's voice was hard. 52,000 across 15 workers last year. You documented your own crimes because you were proud of them. You created a culture of fear and exploitation. He pulled out his phone. "Security is outside. You're suspended effective immediately, pending criminal investigation. Tomorrow morning, I'm holding an all-staff meeting, and then we're fixing everything you broke." Palmer's face twisted. "You're making a mistake. The staff won't thank you. They'll just want more. Give them an inch, they'll take a mile. I was protecting you from—" "From what?" Sarah's voice was quiet but lethal. "From paying people for their work, from treating human beings with dignity." She pulled out her phone. "I've been recording since you walked in. Every word you just said. Lazy workers, they'll take a mile, firm management. That's all documented now, along with 8 months of evidence." Palmer looked at her, really looked at her, seeing her clearly for perhaps the first time, and in his eyes Andrew saw the moment Palmer understood. He'd lost. Security appeared in the doorway, 2 uniformed officers Andrew had called an hour ago. "Rick Palmer, you need to come with us." The lead officer was professional, calm. Palmer grabbed his keys from the desk, looked at Andrew one last time. "You built this company on tight margins and efficiency. That's all I did. I just did it better than most." "No." Andrew's voice was firm. "You built it on stolen backs. There's a difference." They escorted Palmer out, through the kitchen where the evening prep staff had gathered silent, watching, past Sarah's station, past the time clock where Palmer had stolen so many hours. The back door closed. Sarah exhaled, a long, shaking breath. Then she turned to Andrew. "He's wrong. We don't want more. We just want what we earned." Andrew looked at her. This woman who'd survived 4 years of systematic theft and still showed up every day, who'd documented everything even though she had no guarantee anyone would listen, who'd protected her co-workers even when it cost her. "Tomorrow morning," Andrew said, "we start making this right." The next morning, Andrew stood at the front of Harvest and Home's dining room. Every chair was filled. 22 staff members, from prep cooks to servers to dishwashers. The people Palmer had exploited. The people Andrew had unknowingly betrayed. Sarah sat in the first row to his right. A signal. She wasn't just a witness. She was a partner. "My name is Andrew Anderson." His voice carried across the silent room. "I'm the founder and CEO of Harvest and Home, and I built this company, but I failed you." Confused murmurs. The staff exchanged glances. Andrew continued. "Rick Palmer has been stealing from you, systematically for years. Split shifts without pay, 2 sets of time cards, discriminatory scheduling. I went undercover to see it myself because I needed to understand." He gestured to Sarah. "And Sarah has been documenting it for 8 months, building evidence to protect everyone in this room." He showed them the house cards, explained the dual system, the stolen hours, the stolen wages, the stolen dignity. Thomas, the young busser Andrew had watched get sent to bathrooms during dinner rush, stood up. His voice shook. "You knew about this?" "No." Andrew met his eyes. "But I should have. I built incentive systems that rewarded Palmer for theft. I promoted profit margins over people, and that's on me." "So what now?" Jennifer, the white server who'd benefited from Palmer's favoritism, spoke up. "Palmer's gone. We still need jobs. First, back pay." Andrew opened his briefcase, pulled out envelopes. "Sarah documented $14,200 stolen from her over 4 years. I'm issuing checks to every worker here. Full restitution for every stolen hour plus interest and damages." He handed Sarah her check, $18,000. Sarah's hands shook as she opened it. Her eyes went wide, then wet. She pressed a hand to her mouth, trying not to cry. Failed. "This is..." Her voice broke. "This is my daughter's asthma medicine for 2 years." Around the room, other workers received their checks. Thomas, $6,200. Maria, $8,400. A woman named Keisha, $9,800. Total, $127,000 in back pay. The room filled with gasps, tears, shocked silence. Some workers stared at their checks like they might disappear. Others cried openly. Andrew waited for the emotion to settle, then continued. "Second, policy changes, effective today." He pulled out a printed document. "No more split shifts without full pay. All hours worked are all hours paid, digitally tracked with third-party verification software that sends reports directly to me and to a worker committee. Server training is now open to all staff. Promotions based on merit, audited quarterly by external firm checking for discrimination." He paused. Let them absorb it. "I'm creating a worker committee, 8 members elected by you. They'll meet with me monthly. They have veto power over scheduling policies, workplace conditions, and disciplinary procedures. If I propose something you think is wrong, you can stop me." Maria raised her hand. "What if the committee is just for show? What if you ignore us? Then you go public. Sarah's documentation, plus everything I found, will be held by an independent attorney. If I fail to follow through on these commitments, you have legal recourse and media leverage." Andrew took a breath. This was the moment that mattered most. "Third, leadership change. I'm promoting Sarah Williams to general manager of this location." Stunned silence. Sarah's head snapped up. "What? You know this place better than anyone. You know what workers need, and you have the courage to demand justice even when it costs you. That's leadership." Andrew met her eyes. "This isn't charity. You earned this." The room erupted. Applause, cheers, a few tears. Sarah sat frozen, processing. Thomas stood again. "You said if you fail. Why should we believe you? Palmer talked a good game, too." "Fair question." "Because I'm giving you power to fire me." Andrew let that land. "The worker advisory board I'm creating, 1 representative from each of our 32 locations, meets with our executive team quarterly. If you collect signatures from 51% of company workers, you can submit a no-confidence vote, and I'll step down as CEO." The room went dead silent. "You're accountable to us now," Andrew said. "Not the other way around." Sarah stood. Her voice was steady now. "And I'm holding him to it. Every promise he made today I'm tracking. If he doesn't deliver, I go to media myself with everything we documented." She turned to face the staff. "I didn't document for revenge. I did it because we deserve better, and now we're going to build better together." The applause was real this time. Building. Andrew held up one more document. "Fourth, company-wide reforms. I'm auditing every location. If this happened here, it might be happening elsewhere. And I'm revising our bonus structure for all general managers. 50% based on profit, 50% based on worker satisfaction scores measured by anonymous quarterly surveys. He looked around the room. At Maria, who'd worked impossible hours. At Thomas, who'd been systematically blocked from tip-earning opportunities. At Jennifer, who'd benefited without realizing the cost to others. At Sarah, who'd fought alone for so long. I can't undo 4 years of theft, Andrew said. But I can make sure it never happens again. And I can build what I thought I'd built 17 years ago, a company that actually lifts people up instead of grinding them down. Sarah spoke again. One more thing. Every staff member gets a copy of today's meeting minutes. Transparency starts now. The meeting ended. Workers filed out slowly, some still clutching their checks, others gathering in small groups to process what had just happened. Sarah approached Andrew. You actually did it. Actually, we did it. I couldn't have without your documentation. She looked at him for a long moment. I'll hold you accountable. Good, that's your job now. 6 weeks later. The morning sun cut through Harvest and Home's kitchen windows. New windows, installed after the worker committee identified that the old ones didn't open, making summer shifts unbearable. Sarah arrived at 5:30 a.m., not because she had to. Her new schedule as GM let her set her own hours. But old habits died hard, and she wanted to be here for the opening shift. The kitchen had changed. New ergonomic mats at every station, a break room with actual comfortable seating, and a refrigerator that worked. Photos of staff members on a wall of excellence that Sarah had insisted on. A bulletin board covered in kids' drawings. Sarah's daughter Lily had started the trend. The biggest change, a new digital time clock that photographed each clock in, sent real-time data to both Sarah and to Andrew's executive team, and was monitored by a third-party auditor. No more house cards, no more stolen hours. Sarah made coffee in her office, Palmer's old office, now transformed. She'd removed his motivational posters. Success is climbing the ladder had been particularly galling. Replaced them with the worker committee meeting schedule and a copy of the new Employee Bill of Rights. On the wall behind her desk, she'd mounted something else, the old handwritten house cards in a frame. Underneath, a plaque read, "Never again." Thomas knocked on her open door. "Morning, boss." Sarah smiled. "Come in, and stop calling me boss. It's Sarah." Thomas was different now, too, less guarded, growing into himself. "You wanted to see me?" "Yes." Sarah pulled out a document. "I want you to train as assistant manager. You're smart, you work hard, and you stood up in that meeting when it mattered. That's leadership." Thomas's eyes went wide. "But I'm only 19. I'm still in community college." "So what? Someone should have invested in you a long time ago. We're fixing that now." Sarah handed him the training schedule. "Company pays for management courses. You'll work alongside me for 6 months, learn every aspect of running this place, then we'll see about promoting you to assistant manager officially." Thomas looked at the document. His hands trembled slightly. "Thank you. I won't let you down." "I know you won't." After Thomas left, Sarah's next appointment arrived. Katie Palmer, Rick Palmer's niece, still worked at Harvest and Home. Sarah had kept her on, but with no special treatment. Katie stood in the doorway, uncertain. "You wanted to talk?" "Sit." Sarah's voice was firm, but not unkind. Katie sat. She looked different from 6 weeks ago, less entitled, more careful. "I didn't know," Katie said before Sarah could speak. "I swear I didn't know what he was doing." Sarah studied her. "You benefited while others suffered. Ignorance doesn't erase that." She let that sit. "But you can do better going forward. How? Work the same hours as everyone else. Learn every station. Earn respect. Don't expect it because of your name." Sarah pulled out a revised schedule. "You're training in kitchen next 2 weeks. Learn prep, pantry, grill. Then we'll see about putting you back on the floor." Katie took the schedule, nodded. "Okay, one more thing." Sarah's voice softened slightly. "I saw you helping Maria practice English during your break last week. That was good. Keep doing that." Katie's surprise was genuine. "You noticed? I notice everything." Sarah almost smiled. "That's why I'm still here." That afternoon, the worker committee held its weekly meeting. 8 staff members, elected by secret ballot, gathered in the dining room. Sarah facilitated. "Agenda items?" Maria spoke up. "The freezer in dry storage is broken again. I reported it 3 times. It'll be fixed by Friday." Sarah made a note. "I already called the repair company. If they don't show, I'll call Andrew directly." Next item, childcare. Several single parents struggled with early morning shifts when daycares weren't open yet. "I spoke with Andrew about subsidized childcare partnerships," Sarah said. "He's researching options, should have a proposal in 2 weeks." The committee nodded. This was new, feeling heard, seeing action. "Last item," Sarah said, "uniform costs, currently deducted from paychecks, committee's position, unanimous vote, company should cover uniforms." "I agree. I'll implement that immediately." After the meeting, Sarah sat alone in the dining room, pulled out her phone, opened the photo of her children. Lily and Jacob smiled at the camera, taken last weekend at the park. Sarah had energy for park trips now, had time, had hope. Her apartment, the one she'd been behind on rent for, was paid up 3 months in advance. The Honda's transmission had been fixed. Lily's asthma medication sat in the cabinet, fully stocked. Justice, Sarah had learned, wasn't always dramatic. Sometimes it was this: being able to cook dinner for your kids without exhaustion crushing you, being able to afford medicine, being able to sleep, small things, everything. 1 year later, Andrew stood at the front of Harvest & Home's annual company meeting. All 32 locations represented: general managers, worker advisory board members, kitchen staff, servers, 600 people in a hotel ballroom in Atlanta. On the screen behind him, the company's metrics. "Our revenue grew 18% this year," Andrew said. "Employee retention is up 64%. Customer satisfaction scores are the highest in company history. And we distributed $1.2 million in profit sharing to workers." Applause filled the room. "But those numbers aren't why we're here." Andrew clicked to the next slide. "We're here because we rebuilt something broken, and it worked." He showed photos, the new time clock systems, the worker advisory boards, the promoted staff members. Thomas, now officially assistant manager in Atlanta. Maria, training as assistant manager in Charlotte. 12 other former kitchen workers promoted into leadership positions. "Rick Palmer pled guilty to wage theft last month," Andrew continued. "Criminal charges resulted in 2 years probation and $180,000 in restitution. Davis, the district manager who taught him, settled civil charges for $250,000. 4 other general managers who used similar systems were terminated." The room was silent, attentive. "But this story isn't about punishment. It's about what we built instead." Andrew gestured to Sarah, seated in the front row. Sarah Williams, now regional manager overseeing 6 locations, former prep cook, single mother, the woman who documented injustice for 8 months while working 12-hour days. Sarah stood. The applause was thunderous. "We created worker advisory boards with real power," Andrew said. "They vetoed 3 of my proposals this year, and every time they were right." He smiled. "Turns out the people doing the work know more than the person in the corner office." More applause. "1 year ago, I went undercover in my own company. What I found broke me. But what we built together, that healed me." Andrew looked at the faces in the crowd. If you've ever been invisible at work, clocking in, clocking out, wondering if anyone sees your worth, this story is for you. You're not invisible. You built something. And you deserve to benefit from what you built. He paused. "And if you're in leadership, walk through your own door as a stranger. You might not like what you find, but you can fix it, if you have the courage." The screen behind Andrew changed to final message. Have you witnessed injustice at work? Share your story below. Subscribe if you believe in businesses that lift everyone up. Because the best companies aren't built by one person, they're built by all of us.